Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt something was off, even though no one said a word? Maybe it's the tension or those glances, the silence that somehow says everything. That's not just intuition, that's communication. And the wildest part is, most of what we communicate, we don't even know we're doing. Today, I want to show you how you're always saying something through your body, your energy, your silence, your habits, your hesitation, and how that message might not be what you think it is. So let's go a little bit deeper. In almost every coaching conversation I've had lately, this one truth keeps showing up. We don't communicate who we are. We communicate who we've been trained to be. That means you can be clear in your words and still misunderstood in your energy. You can be confident in your skills, but your presence might still say, I'm not safe to shine. You can want to be seen while unconsciously signaling that you'd rather not be. So there are 3 layers to this, 3 mirrors you're always walking through. And today we're unpacking each one of them. How you see yourself, how others see you, and how the world is conditioned to see you. Let's start where all communication begins, with the story you're telling yourself. How you see yourself. You might think you know who you are, but who shaped that version of you? Who gave you the script? It might sound something like, I don't speak unless I'm sure I'm right. I'm not the confident one. I'm the grounded one. I have to be strong. People depend on me. I speak up because I care, but they think I'm too much. Some of these are strengths and some of these are shields, and sometimes we can't tell the difference. The truth is, most of us inherited a version of ourselves that was built to be safe, not free. And that version shows up before you even speak, before you even realize, in how you sit, in when you speak up or when you don't, in the microtones of your I'm fine, in the way that softens your power or overcompensates for not being heard. Here's an invitation. Ask yourself, what version of me walks into the room first, and who taught them how to show up that way? Because how you see yourself shapes how you communicate everything. And listen, I know this intimately too. I used to shrink in the most subtle, invisible ways. I'd play down my authority, soften my tone, over-explain my thoughts, not because I wasn't confident, but because somewhere in me, I'd learned that being fully expressed wasn't safe. And I didn't even know I was doing it until I did. And everything began to shift. So let's talk about how others see you. It's time to flip that concept, because while you're carrying your story, everyone else is carrying their own stories too. And they're not seeing you, they're seeing their assumptions, their wounds, their projections, and their expectations. You show up clear and they misread you as cold. You're passionate, they call it dramatic. You're quiet, they decide you're unsure. And yes, it is frustrating. But here's what's worse. We start adapting to their perception. We shrink ourselves. We overcompensate, overperform, dilute or harden to manage their comfort. And before you know it, you're not showing up, you're managing a performance. I've done this too. I've watered myself down to stay liked. I've over-delivered to avoid being misunderstood. And I've hidden my softness behind strategy and my truth behind timing. Because somewhere along the line, I believe that being too direct, too much, too honest would make people uncomfortable. And honestly, sometimes it did. But what it taught me was that I wasn't showing up for me. I was showing up for them, for how they wanted me to be. You may not like what I'm about to say next, but stop, breathe, and ask yourself, am I showing up to connect or am I showing up to be accepted? One comes from truth, the other comes from fear. And the world doesn't need another polished performance. It needs you. Okay, here's the third layer, how the world sees you. This layer is the most dangerous because it's also the most invisible. The world is not neutral. It comes with biases, conditioning, narratives around race, gender, tone, power, softness, professionalism. Before you even say a word, the world has already made a judgment about you. And if you're not careful, you'll internalize it. You'll overcorrect. You will hide and you will fight to prove. You lose sight of what's true. Look, I know this one intimately too. As a small-statured female of ethnic descent, I felt what it means to walk into a room and be too much before I've even said a word, or too quiet, or too bold, or too emotional, or too confident. I've watched how the world can write your story before you even open your mouth. And if you're not deeply anchored in your own truth, it's easy to start believing them. So let's be real. You're not too much, you're not too quiet, you're not too loud. You are not enough. Your presence, your actual presence, isn't a threat to be managed. It's a signal of truth. And now that you know these things, you don't need to shapeshift anymore. You get to bring your full self into the room, not just for you, but for every version of you that never got the chance. So how do you actually show up with presence, not performance? Try these 3 check-ins. Self-check, which is before anything happens. What part of me is walking in first? Truth or protection? And then in real time, raise your awareness. Am I responding to the moment or managing how I'm being perceived? And then after the fact, there's some reflection. Did I dilute, inflate, or completely abandon myself? These 3 micro moments build something powerful because it's not just about communication, but congruence. And that's what people feel even before they hear a word from you. You are always saying something, even in your silence, even when you're just observing. The question is, are you saying something true or something safe? When you shift from performance to presence, when your inner clarity meets your outer voice, that's when people start to lean in. If this stirred something in you, drop a comment and tell me, which layer are you exploring right now? Yourself, others, or the world? And if you want to dive deeper and deconstruct those scripts, build presence, and step into authentic alignment, my coaching sessions are open. There's a link in the description to show you where to go. Subscribe if this hit home, and please share with someone that you're thinking of right now, because it might be just what they need to hear. And we're only getting started. You don't have to shapeshift anymore. You get to show up as you. Thank you. I'll see you next time.